One of the most coveted microphones in any studio is the U87 from Neumann. It is a classic by all standards. It's an amazing vocal microphone. It's a workhorse. It can be used on things like drums, and it's been used on guitars and acoustic instruments. It's just one of those microphones that every studio owner wants or thinks they need, and a lot of people are chasing that sound. And I'm sure you guys, like myself, are just horrified at the price of an actual Neumann U87. They are not cheap by any means. They are quite an expensive mic, usually clocking around $4,500. And there's a lot that goes into microphone design that makes microphones like the Neumann U87 really expensive. The capsule making process is notoriously one of the most difficult parts of making a microphone, and they have to be engineered to an extreme precision to get the quality of audio to be consistent. There's also a bunch of intricate circuitry in the microphone body itself that are usually traditionally hand soldered, and it takes good high quality engineers to do this and a tight quality control to make sure that all of the components that are used are to a high quality standard and that there aren't any tolerance differences between one mic to the next. But all that's to say, this is why high quality equipment costs a lot of money. But if you're like me and you're all about DIY like we are on this channel, then you know that I'm always looking for an easier, more affordable DIY solution to getting that same high quality of sound. So of course I looked for a cheaper option, and honestly there are lots and lots of ways that you can get that Neumann U87 sound. There are mic clones, direct clones of the U87 microphone design and circuit, and you can buy them from multiple different companies online, and you can buy those pre-made. But then if you want to save even more money, there are companies that do clones of the U87 that you can build yourself, and they are even cheaper again. However, this is the DIY recording studio. I'm too cheap for even those options. I wanted to find the cheapest possible high quality clone or mic mod that I could find to appeal to home studio musicians and recording artists and everyone that's on the tightest of budgets. Now, whilst I wanted to keep the price low, I also wanted to avoid a bunch of the fake microphones that are out there as well. There are lots and lots of cheap, fake kind of clones of U87s and C414s, and they are not even most of the time true condenser mics, and sometimes they're not even using large diaphragm capsules. They're using mid or small diaphragm capsules in there. It's crazy, so I wanted to stay right the fuck away from any of that nonsense and bullshit. I wanted to find a microphone that was as legit as possible as far as a large diaphragm condenser mic that sounded as close as possible to the U87 for the lowest possible price. So that's when coincidentally a friend of mine, Mitta from Tommirock, shout out to you Mitta, sent me a text message and was like, hey man, I have this client that's super interested in this mic mod and he needs someone to build it. Would you be interested in building that microphone for him? And I said, fuck yeah, of course I can build that microphone. So I got in touch with this customer and they had one of the most interesting microphones, and I'd never ever heard of it before, and it was this guy, Studio Project C1. And I don't know about you, I've never heard of this microphone before, but it has that classic Neumann U87 design. It has a capsule that sounds remarkably similar to the U87 just as it is, and with some slight modifications, it can actually get even closer to the true U87 sound. So I did some research into this mic modification, and funnily enough, it's from a company that I've actually dealt with before, micparts.com. They're an amazing company, and this isn't a sponsored video. I've bought heaps of stuff from this company and they just make good shit. And what they offer here is a pretty simple mic modification circuit to take apart some of the circuitry in the C1 and apply another new board to it and just do some frequency tweaking to fix some of the inherent problems in the original microphone's design. So I jumped online, bought one of these kits, and then when the customer sent me their microphone, I got to modding this thing right away. So the first thing I had to do with this microphone modification is remove a bunch of components like some ceramic capacitors, some diodes, and some film capacitors as well. And to do this, I actually use a proper desoldering station. I've messed about for years with desoldering braid and other methods to try and get components out of a board. They've always ended up in mixed results, and I can't recommend enough getting a proper desoldering station if you're going to do this kind of work. They're not cheap. They're a couple of $100, but if you want to do lots of DIY work and lots of modifications to equipment, the desoldering stations are definitely worth your investment. This turns this job into like a 30-minute job instead of hours long trying to get components off a PCB. Then I had to build this new board that was part of the modification circuit, which has a couple of different resistors that would attenuate the high frequency problems in this microphone and also result in a better frequency response. Then all I had to do was solder a bunch of jumper wires from the new board to connect it to the old board where those capacitors were previously. Soldering the wires to join the two boards was a little bit tricky. That was trickier than some of the other stuff in this build, but a bit of patience and some careful soldering and I was all good. So this is the modded microphone right here, and I've been using it on a bunch of recordings at work with my students and testing it out with a real U87 and was actually shocked by the results. This microphone sounds so decent for a $300 microphone, and if you want to hear direct comparisons with the U87, I'll have some videos coming soon on that, so make sure you subscribe down below. But for today, what I've got for you as a comparison is the original microphone and then another unmodded microphone over here, and you should be able to pretty much hear the difference. This is the C1 with the U87 mic mod, and this is the C1 without the U87 mic mod over here on the left, and you should be able to hear the difference pretty clearly. This microphone has a much more tailored high frequency response. This one is far more sibilant. And like, I know I've got a pop shield on this one at the moment, but you can probably hear what I'm talking about. This one is brighter, a bit too harsh in the S's, stuff like that. This one has a much better low frequency response and a smoother high frequency response as well. And I'm going to be modding this one as well, so then I have a pair, because I'm so stoked with the results of what this microphone sounded like that I wanted a pair of them for things like overheads and room mics and anything else I can think of, because this microphone sounds absolutely incredible for $300. So this video is just how I came across this microphone. I'll have audio examples in another video coming really soon, where I'll do comparisons against both of these mics before and after the mod, and I'll definitely be doing a direct comparison with an actual U87 as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, hit me up in those comment sections down below. I'm Mitch from the DIYRecordingstudio.com. I'll catch you soon.